Online dating is about
learning how to date than full-blown dating.
Meeting someone new, getting to know different people and seeing what's out there, really.
Everything's very for show, nothing's genuine on it.
allowing yourself to be a bit vulnerable because you're going to get rejected and finding out who you are.
It's almost like online shopping. When you're online shopping, you only have a couple of images there to judge. And that's the same when it comes to online dating, because it's about quantity rather than quality.
I think people are a little naive when it comes to online dating, and they think it's just going to be a real kind of speedy sort of quick fix, which it definitely is not.
I don't know if it's a false persona, but it's maybe just like a very small glimpse of who I am though in my profile.
Like, who knows how many people are swiping on your photos every day? Who knows how many of them are real? Who knows how many of them are fake?
It is a lie, all of it. But then I'm like, oh, if I meet someone that likes it, I could like adapt to them and I'll try to please.
Everybody's trying to put up their best picture, obviously, because you're trying to market and brand yourself.
Yeah, you're good.
I think I'm ready. I think I'm good. I didn't go on dating apps till second year of college, I want to say. I was with two of the girls I was in college with, and we were sitting in her house one of the evenings, and she was like, you should just do it. And I was like, I don't think so. And they were like, no, you need to do it. So we downloaded Tinder and we went through and created the profile together, and they kind of picked pictures and we picked things about me. And when I look back on it now, it probably wasn't the most like me, because I was letting obviously them pick them.
I'm like, I might only use them once a day and I'll go on them for like an hour. Tinder would have been the most I would have used. Bumble was probably the least. And then I actually find myself using Hinge a lot more. I still have Hinge on my phone because it's more down to earth.
I think I downloaded it when I was 17, which I do not recommend to anyone now looking back. You didn't have to match with anyone, you could just text who you wanted, and it was based on distance as well. So it was like someone who was only like, 2 kilometers away from you or something, like you could see how far. I think it was just so accessible to like talk to someone. That's what I was looking for at first, was just, I literally wanted just other gay people to talk to.
I don't think it's what you imagine it to be until you actually do it, because I was on that front of like, oh, I'm never going to join a dating app. Like, I don't need it. Like, I'll just go talk to people and whatever. And then you go onto it and you're like, oh, it's like a game. That's first impressions of it anyway. So Tinder, the UI is like not super complicated to get around. It's like, it is fairly straightforward, very colorful. I think it's the use of the color in the UI is very attractive to the user.
Like even on Tinder, the bio is a bit too hidden compared to on Hinge, where like, not the bio, but the information like bar where you get like the age and what they're interested in is like more visible.
Bumble, I felt it was just very plain. Like, it was to me just another Tinder, but like a yellow UI. Ironically, the whole thing of Bumble of women message first was actually the thing I didn't like, because it never usually happened. It's disappointing, at best, because you're excited for something different, like a change, and it doesn't happen.
I don't like texting first. And I know for a fact, like if they like match with me or whatever, they will be willing to talk to you. But I just don't like that. And I think I have like a very set mindset of, oh, the guy should act first. And like the timer is actually good, because like if you don't text someone within like the first 24 hours, like 2 days, you're not going to text them. Hinge
is like a very minimal UI, so still think it's pretty easy and straightforward to follow. The UI does help with it, because like if it's simplistic, like it makes kind of the idea of just swiping to find who you want simple.
I like that they give you the already made prompts, because I'm really bad at thinking on my own. They give you a sentence and you just like fill in the blanks, and I find that a lot easier, and I can be, surprisingly for me, I can be a lot more creative with that.
It's more like you're like reading through an article on Hinge rather than on Tinder and Grindr. You don't really get that. The color scheme, like if you say compare Hinge and Grindr is literally like gray with like a little bit of yellow, and then if like a person doesn't have a picture in their profile, the like silhouette is gray as well. So like the whole app literally looks like a dark web like website. It feels like it is meant to be like a secret hush hush thing. Even like the logo is a mask, like it's just like a hidden identity nearly.
first it's really addicting because when you first get on it, you're like, oh my God, there's so much possibilities. Like there's so much I can do. This is great. Like I'm gonna match with everybody. And I think you create that narrative in your head and then you kind of sell it to yourself and you stay on it for longer.
I know it sounds bad and like not that like people are a game, but it almost sometimes feels like a game because you're just like swipe left, swipe right. Not that people's emotions or feelings or like relationships are, but like that's sometimes you disassociate that they're real people and it just becomes a photo on a screen.
With the Secret Admirer, it's like you're picking a card, which is like literally a game you can do in real life. One like Grindr where you can text anyone. It's not like, oh, I'm just waiting for a match. It's like, oh, I can just go on, scroll, see if there's someone that I think is attractive and then text them. And then you're waiting for messages. And if you text 3 people or something and then they do text back, you've got 3 conversations going. That sort of makes it addictive. But Hinge, I think, is one that like would be not as addicting because you have to like look through the profiles, you have to like read through them. And as well, it's not as quick when you want to actually like say deny or like a profile. You have to like do like 2 steps, while with Tinder, it's just literally swiping. So I think Hinge would be like the least addictive out of the 3, but Grindr I think would be the most addictive, yeah.
The nonsense that people are just sort of sick of hearing is people bigging themselves up, and there's a little bit of fresh, honest, human, relatable profile honesty. That usually leads to success.
I mean, stuff that I like, well, I think they need to have a bio, first of all, because I think if you don't have a bio, it's a bit too like generic. Everyone kind of wants to present themselves on Tinder like shiny and clean. And I will say though, with Hinge, there's been less conversation that's left the dating apps as opposed to Tinder. Tinder kind of tends to talk there and then you can move to the next stage and then you'll meet with someone. But most of the people I talk to on Hinge, I haven't actually met in person. It just kind of, I don't know, it just seems to kind of like dip and die off.
When I did the transition from Tinder to Hinge, I was still on Tinder at the same time. So it was having just like both, almost juggling them. I feel like some people put in like, oh my God, like where they were born and like how long their mother was in labor. Like they go into so much fucking detail. Or like there's a good few people who have it like the same 2 people. So it might be them and their best friend.
And you're trying to like kind of figure out which one it is. Like you're like, right, he's been in that picture 3 times already. I'm kind of guessing. Like let's say I'm scrolling or whatever and I'm like, oh, I actually know them. They're nothing like that. Yeah. Like they don't go fishing. Are you mad? Maybe doing other lines, but they're not doing fishing lines, I tell you that. But
of lads do like the pickup, like a pickup line or like a funny thing. And this is the thing, like some of them are gross, but I find some of them like they intend them to be like sexy or flirty. I just find them hilarious. Like I remember it just sticks in my mind now. This one guy texts me and was like, I have a sale going on at my house, clothes 100% off. They think because you don't actually know them and you'll never meet them, it's kind of that like I can be somebody else, or like I can say something that I wouldn't usually say.
It doesn't matter once you have the conversation starter. The main thing online is that you want to show yourself as interesting, approachable and friendly. Be easy to make conversations with, and less is more. Don't give your whole life story. Keep the mystery.
I'll choose this one because there's a few different reasons behind it. I think why I chose this picture, it's one that was taken in the States with my friend. We both won an award together. Even though my eyes are really, really puffy because I was sobbing that day because it was like the last night, that's a genuine smile on my face, not just like for the picture. And I think I look quite handsome in it, if I do say so myself. My bio is, because it is true, I have a mullet on the way now. I have my height and I have my star sign. But like all the other ones I haven't filled in, because I don't see it on other people's profiles and never look at it, I just never bothered to put it in myself. Tinder profile, I wouldn't put in a topless picture because on Tinder I feel like you always run into people you know and I wouldn't want them to come across that. I don't know if it's a false persona, but it's maybe just like a very small glimpse of who I am though in my profile. But once people get to text me, I think they do get a gist of who I really am.
Say like this kind of cringy, but like most authentically Lucy. I really try to go with like a mix. It was one of me when we were going out to, like, it's probably the only photo that I've ever taken that I think I look like semi-sexy in. And I remember putting it up and being like, oh my God, that is so not me. But at the same time, I was like, I really like that photo, but at the same time, I don't feel like it's truly me. But I try to have something rather of me, like if I'm on a hike or on a walk or with no makeup on, or just like if I thought I looked nice one day, have photos like that. I didn't want them to meet me and then it'd be completely different, because I've had that happen and I didn't want that. So I was very conscious of trying to keep it as accurate to current me as possible.
A lot of pictures I would like to put up, I can't put up because I just know people aren't going to like them. And even though I know Tinder's for me, it's also for other people. So that's the horrible scales that just never seem to balance.
For my Hinge profile, for the first photo, it's me in town and I guess a full body shot, which I do actually think is like kind of important. Other pictures I showed was one of me going to my friend's birthday party and you had to get dressed up. So I was wearing like a purple corset and like a tiara. I just thought it was pretty cute.
Let me get it up. I do prefer my Hinge profile, I think, to my Tinder. My first prompt I go crazy for is, and I said the stickers you got from the doctors. They were like my best childhood memory, and I just thought people should know that. But then dating me is like an episode of Arrested Development.
And it's not about sex. I don't just lie there if that's what you're thinking.
That's not what I was thinking.
So I think mine are a good gateway into a conversation, but also I feel like it shows my interest. With like the prompts, people will respond differently. I don't know if it's maybe on Hinge, people are just more open to like commenting on the pictures themselves, because that's the whole like idea of the app. When I do match with people on Hinge, we will start a conversation based off each other's profiles, while more so on Tinder or Grindr, it'll be just starting it off with like small talk and then just working our way through the conversation that way.
The one that I've been so inconsistent with, like I take it up and I put it back down, is I was like, I need to put something up to do with the gym. But like, I'm sure most of us know, if there's only a certain amount you can put up, like you're taking a picture in the mirror of you either flexing, you either are like topless, like that's kind of the one that's been like if and off. But like the 6 or 7 that I'd have up are just, yeah, I'm comfortable with them, like I'm happy with them. And I think that goes back to the thing I was saying of, as my mindset changed, I cared less about like what people were going to think of it. I actually think Hinge was nice because it allowed me to be myself again and to come out from that sort of socially constructed, like picture-based version of Adam. I like to think it showcases who I am a little bit better than Tinder could.
Do you use different photos for different apps?
I do.
Do you?
I'm starting to realize exactly what I'm doing. Okay, Tinder has one bikini photo, and it's because it's a nice photo. That photo isn't on any of the other dating sites. I've just noticed. But the other two, I think, have a lot of sharing photos as well as Tinder. I think Hinge would mostly be me. It has every aspect of me, I feel, and the prompts are quite what I'm like romantically. Some people's profiles are very much like CVs. I'm like, no, I want to know what you're like in love, what you're looking for in love too. Hinge has all the information there. I feel like in the future I would just use Hinge.
So this is my Bumble account. I have a weird thing for emo guys, and that really shows on my profile. I went really over the top to try and aim towards that crowd. There's 3 photos of me just in pure black and eyeliner. I do not wear eyeliner like 24/7. That is very fake. And even for the prompts, put down skateboarding. I own a skateboard. I haven't been on it in like 5 years. I listen to heavy metal. No, I do not. It is a lie, all of it. The reason why I use like all those photos and like prompts and all is genuinely just because like even in makeup, I'm like, oh, I need to match the part of what they want. And in my head, what they wanted was someone similar to them. So I did try to like change myself. But then I'm like, oh, if I meet someone that likes it, I could like adapt to them and I'll try to please them. No, I listened to a heavy metal song. Horrible. They did respond to my pictures being like, oh, like you're so pretty. We have the same like interests. I'm like, oh my God, it's working. Okay, I'm not emo. But like it was fun like doing that, like the makeup and all was fun, like even like dressing. It was very different to like how I am as a person, kind of like a costume.
I don't use Grindr as like a way of showing people who I am just because it's like there's some creeps on it. So I literally just have like one picture of me with no top on and then just like a picture of like my face basically. My bio is, oh, I love a good face picture, because the amount of profiles that don't have face pictures is insane. I feel like on Grindr I'm trying to keep like a low profile of who I am, just because you're basing it off not like, you know, human connection, but just sexual attraction. And I feel like me putting on this persona, it is like a bit of a performance. It's kind of grim. to think about. It's genuinely like, it's a mess. It's a very dark mess. Sometimes it can be good fun because sometimes you'll get like really like outrageous messages. Their first messages in like, do you want to fuck? And then it'll just be like a dick pic or something, like a nude. And in that situation, it's fun sometimes just like mess with them. But then other times like you just won't be in the mood, and when you're bombarded with this, it can get like overwhelming because it's just like constant sexualization of me. And like obviously I'm not helping myself by putting a topless picture in, but it's like I would rather someone just start off a conversation than be so forward. Grindr is basically a place where a lot of people are very forward and don't understand the common decency of saying hello.
The most frequently used phrase is, are there any decent people out there? I could create now 10 profiles today if I was so inclined. And like I've spoken to lots of crazy people on the phone who do that. And one comes to mind. She goes to work every day and she adopts about 10 different personas. If you fake anything on your profile, then that just leads to a minefield of other bits of doubt and other people saying, what the hell was this? Like if you lied about your height, I can clearly see you. I'm standing up and I know you're not 6 foot. You're 5'7" or 5'8". So what the hell else? Are you married? You're building up that persona. It's a hard thing to keep up, if you're meant to be this, that, and the other the entire time.
It is one of those things that like I feel like anybody who's on a dating app will struggle with if that's something they're conscious of, if they want to like be honest and like authentic in themselves. That one photo of me that I think is sexy, I had that up every single time because I was like, oh, I want them to see me this way and I want them to like me. But it was like, do I like that photo of myself? That never came into consideration. I think it's really easy to slip into that of like, here's the best photos of myself and here's all the amazing things about me, when obviously everybody has flaws, everything has things that aren't necessarily the most perfect. And not everybody looks 100 every single day.
And the pictures are 90% of a profile. The text is only 10%. The text still has to be right, but the pictures are huge. I mean, a person makes up their mind about you in 1/40th of a second.
That if you're not unbelievably thick-skinned, it'll destroy confidence levels. So yeah, I think it hinders more than it helps. Online danger is a huge concern for an awful lot of people, and heard some horror stories over the years, all right.
I think I attract like the most crazy people, be it in friendships, relationships, any part of my life. I always end up with people who are rather toxic or like using me or different things like that. So dating apps are one of those things. I find it really hard to tell someone's genuine like personality. It was the first date I had ever gone on, full stop. I met him on Tinder. His profile, I think, said he was 23. Basically, I had got the train into where we were meeting and he was picking me up in his car and we were going to drive somewhere for lunch. I got in the car and I was like, the more I was going, oh my gosh, you don't look like your photos at all. You're like, I'm in his car. So then you almost feel vulnerable and you're like, shit, oh my God, what am I doing? I was like, oh yeah, like you look like a bit different to your profile pictures. He was like, yeah, I'm 28. And I was like, as like a 19, 20-year-old, I was like, 28. He was like, no, I'm 28. I like to date younger girls. Like, what do you say to that? And I was like, I felt violated. Like you'd been lied to about something so like vital. He was meant to be dropping me home. So I felt like I couldn't get out of it. So I've learned from that, like I left myself vulnerable in that situation. On the car ride home, he said some like awful things to me, like that he fully thought were like compliments, I think. I wouldn't consider myself plus size in any way, shape or form, but he said to me that I was on the bigger end for any of the girls he had ever dated. And I was kind of sitting there like, oh my God, I can't believe this person who's meant to be attracted to me is after telling me that I'm basically fat. I felt like I had done the most I could. And like on my profile I showed a full body image. If you're into size 4 girls or whatever, that like you could have surely made that assumption off my profile. You chose to swipe on me. And at the end of it, like he was like, oh yeah, we should do this again. I was like, yeah. Just to get me, I was like, yeah, just let me get out the car, please. And then I never texted him after that. I blocked him. And I looked back on it now, it's one of those things that I wish I had asked him, like, why do you do that though? Their want for whoever they're attracted to is more important than honesty. So like for them, having a young girlfriend or going on dates with young girls is more important than being honest. But besides that, I don't think I have any other reasoning for why they would do it. I think dating apps emulate modern society in that sense, in terms of like, you need to be perfect.
Men are more visual. That's just the way they are. Women like to feel that the guy is interested in them, and women are more interested in having a chat and getting to know the person and all that.
There is a societal expectation for a guy to present himself as someone that's upstanding, wealthy, and doing well in life, and that's attractive to a mate, or to the opposite sex. From both sides, there is the female gaze and the male gaze that both sides are trying to appeal to. But I think one side is able to achieve it better. I don't think in any of the dates I've been on, I've ever had a woman offer to pay for the bill completely. So I was like, okay, like it's not that it's not that it's like a disappointment. It's just something I've come to expect from it.
Like on Grindr, people, you can meet up with someone within 10 minutes if you really wanted to. And it is actually kind of scary, the amount of profiles they see in the bio being like attached, as in they have like a partner, and majority of the time it's a woman. And they will message me and be like, hey, I'm married, like as the first message. And I'll be like, who is this person? And who's the wife? I feel bad for her.
Like, what's the word? Like, we're dehumanizing each other.
We're kind of dehumanizing something that's quite special, which is finding another
romance.
person. Romance should be that butterfly feeling, Pride and Prejudice, like chasing after each other. It should be cute.
Because you, I think, had talked about it a few weeks back, like how you got the impression that certain lads were only going on dates with you just so they could like cross you off their list per se.
Funnily enough, you mentioned the whole crossing me off their list. A lot of the guys who I have gone on dates on who are not people of color will immediately like start questioning that part of me, and it then starts to feel like
an interrogation kind of rather than a date.
And I'm like, okay, now you know my entire heritage. Where are you from?
Yeah,
Nevin? That's nice. It's like I think that whole crossing off their list thing is also a self like gratification thing, to be like, oh, I'm not racist, I've gone out with black girls. Maybe be a better ally, do your research. I don't know, don't just date us for that fact.
Yeah, probably. Oh, it's a match. You're joking? Yeah, if you get like someone matching you, it means that they find you somewhat attractive, and then that in itself is good validation. And if someone texts you, well, obviously then there's interested, and if they compliment you as well.
More so validation, to be honest. Like, that's all I was kind of looking for. I wasn't expecting, oh, I'm going to get a relationship out of this, or I might get the odd date or something, be like, oh, I might connect with someone, but I was just kind of more on it for like validation and to know that I'm still good looking, or like to know that other people still find me attractive.
When I was on it originally, it was just trying to make myself feel better, and someone swiping right on you almost is like someone thinks I'm attractive, because I myself don't think it.
I didn't necessarily ever like picture myself as like the society standard, like pretty or beautiful or whatever. But then obviously getting attention from guys online, I was like, oh, maybe I am. And in that sense, it did make my confidence feel better.
I think it's just this need to get a little bit of an ego boost, like on social media. Look how many likes I got, look how many swipe rights I got, look how many potential options I have. So I think it's the knowledge of having options and opportunities is enough to keep people going. They don't necessarily even always want relationships though. They just want to know that they could if they wanted to. It's scary the amount of people that would sacrifice quality for convenience.
Since I started dating apps, how I view myself has changed a lot. I had a relationship from a dating app. I had a boyfriend, and I think that relationship, now when I look back on it, that changed me. So I guess I can relate that to dating apps and give dating apps that kind of plus that they did that for me. And then I re-downloaded it a couple months after we broke up. Just felt like it was forced. I don't think it should feel like that. It never felt like that before. I think uninstalling them was like a really good step at the time. Maybe I'll go back on them one day, but for the time being, I think I'm good without.
Get what you pay for is what I'd say. So at least go on to one of the paid ones. So there's a bit of there is a paper trail. So at least you know that the intentions are somewhat honourable.
Do your best picture, put your best foot forward, but be honest. You don't need a filter and you don't need to catfish anyone. So I would say that causes hassle. You know, people trying to market themselves the best they can.
When they need to bring it back, slow it down an awful lot more, and actually focus on the quality of the actual person and the characteristics and the core values that they actually want. Have conversations and then meet up.
I think I myself will try and get off dating apps, like eventually, just because dating apps, I feel like in the future will grow bigger and human interaction in real life will grow smaller.
I think Tinder does this thing where it verifies. I think that's really good. But I feel like there's ways around that, and like there's different things that like go about like verification, because I might look different in one photo to another. But I think verification is like a good step in the right direction.
So I've learned that I need to trust my intuition a little bit more. I need to be more honest with myself, and I need to kind of just take people at face value for who they are and not create a narrative going into something that someone is going to be a certain way when I have no idea if that's going to be the case.
To be fair, it is in like a lot of people's natures to lie. So in my head, it's all fun and games. I don't mean any harm by it. I probably should stop my act altogether.
Online dating for me has been like somewhat of a success. I've still yet to find a proper like partner, but like the dates I have gone on have like been good and been a success, and I've enjoyed myself. So just to see what the future has to hold, basically.
You need to invest the time and energy into it. It almost needs to be treated like it's another job for a while, which sounds very boring and dull, but we are a nation of people who worry about people knowing our business all the time. So care less about people knowing your business. No one really cares. Everyone's so self-involved anyways. Everyone's doing their own thing. So just put yourself out there into a pool of like-minded individuals. Do it sooner rather than later. That's my advice.
In your own persona, I think try to be as authentically yourself. If we were all being as authentically ourselves as possible, I don't think there would be anywhere near as many issues or problems. Meeting someone and kind of like them not being who you think they're going to be, that's less likely to happen if you're just completely upfront and honest. If you change yourself to fit what somebody else wants you to be, you don't know how many people you're losing out on who would have loved or appreciated or liked the real you. So be aware of that.
Day one.
Hello?
Is this it?
Yeah, could I have another one?
Match, like,